In the order, the agenda, Oromocto Council and Committee meeting, Monday, 13th of July, 2026 at 5:31 p.m. to Oromocto Municipal Building. I'll ask for a mover for approval of the agenda. Councillor Maloney, seconder, Councillor Kirkbride, questions, all in favor? Contrary, motion carried. We'll move down to presentations, and our good friends Anna and Monica are back from MJMA Architecture and Design, and I think Rob and Matt are on behind us. So you're back, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the warm welcome. I'm Anna Declan. I'm an architect and associate at Acre Architect. Thanks for the same job. I'm Monica Dare, and I'm a partner at Acre Architects. And we have our friends from MJMA. I don't know if we can hear you. We've got Rob waving.
Gotta say hi and thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
Hi there.
And that's Matt. We're here to provide you with an update on the Oromocto Regional Wellness and Recreation Center project. It's back. Down is forward with this.
Yeah.
Here's our agenda. The next 20 minutes or so, we're going to speak to you about the schedule of the milestones. So that's so we can review and identify some key dates for y'all. We're going to go through the design and phasing project update. Sorry, that's point 3 is phasing. We're going to do an update and align on that. We're going to talk a little bit more about the wellness walking area, the walking track, and do progress update on that. And then also speak a bit to the budget, the Class B estimate, and next steps. Okay, so just high level through the schedule of the key milestones. So we recently submitted the design development report and are moving towards the construction documents phase. And we're here today for a project update. Then for the next 4 months, we're going to have a very busy fun summer working on the detailed construction documents. And we have a few additional touch points that we are scheduling with the town staff. Break these working sessions to provide the detail that we need to move forward. And then we'll be back expecting in October for another update in the Class A estimate. And the goal there is to issue for tender, one of our issue for tender set in the Q4 of this year. Still looking at a 30-month construction timeline for the full project. We'll speak a bit about phasing down the road. So design of the project. Yeah, sure. And I think we have one of the councillors that's going to bring you up to speed. So again, you have 3 amenities in this great project. One heart, one center lobby brings everyone together. It's going to be the heart of your community, the heart of the park, under one roof, one park, and one great place. So we're pretty excited that great things happen in Oromocto under one roof. And so this project, this concept that started early is really coming to life now in the project, and we've stayed true to ensure that all of these amenities help shape what your the goals and objectives that you've asked us to kind of hit throughout the project, which we're coming now. So the first one we just talked about is that this had to be a destination of one great place. The advantage of taking all these amenities and bringing them together to activate your community and creating destinations. So that was our first, and that's what's kind of grounding the project. The second one is that the project is a good neighbor by design. It's designed to enrich its surroundings. And made for magical moments. So a place that people use, love, and make life memories. This is a place that really you want to stay, grow up and stay, and build a place that Oromocto becomes part of your life and your memories, and this is a place of its backdrop. Our fourth story element here is design at work. It's operationally smart, flexible, and built to bring value. And a place with a pulse. So Oromocto is full of life, a destination that feels vibrant, alive, and in motion. And our sixth is from porch to park. It's connecting community to nature at your doorstep. And the advantage of the 3 amenities is you come for a book, stay for the game. The idea that this is an inviting social hub, but all the program is activating reasons to come and to spend time in Oromocto at this destination. So I think we talked about these really early on in the project, and now we're seeing those outcomes through the architecture come to life. So I'm pretty excited to share those today. So this is the overall site plan, and it hasn't changed all that much since we last met with you. It's still, we integrated this building with a park, a linear park, which is really awesome. These buildings we find really do work better when they're in parks, and these parks can be really good neighbors to the community. So I've been working hard with our landscape team to create more detailed drawings and developing the design of this. Now there's, can I laser this or? Can I just-
Yeah.
Can I just get close?
So,
I think I might have done this last time too. From our site plan, we still have our three main addresses or entrances, our main entry plaza here at, which is connected to the parking, which is connected between Huron and Hubbard. We have our arena entry plaza, our existing trees we're protecting here. And then our park entrance, of course, on the linear park side of things. We're saving that space for the proposed future arena expansion, should we want to twin in the future. And we've got some exciting stormwater management features that are really part of the landscape, part of that park. So that's our site plan. I think I'll just walk quickly. The right.
Oh, yeah, all right, down.
Here's the plans. So similar to the plans, the major routes of these plans have not changed. We've done some more detailed level changes, working with the town staff on the operations of the building and the library staff as well. So the pink piece of the north here, that's your library, which has there's a multi-purpose room, which is going to be part of the town's operating infrastructure, but available, of course, with the library as well. That's what's in purple. This big yellow space here is your welcoming arrival. It's your lobby space, your social space that's connecting all these major pieces. The clinic still here in orange, from near the front entries. And then we've got some service spaces like our administration, our welcome desk, our washrooms, change rooms, leading the way to the gymnasium space here. And then we have, of course, to the south, our NHL size arena with over 1,000 seats and change rooms below our arena bleacher seating.
how many parking spaces are there?
In total, can you go to the site plan? I believe we're at 315. If I were to add those together, that is 313, I think, right now. So
13.
yeah, so we looked at comparable facilities, which had a similar program, to see about the number of parking spaces. I spoke with the staff and prepared some precedents compared to. We felt comfortable with that, with that number. And then we go to and so then on our level 2 floor plan, we've got our walking track that circulates through the regular part of the building and our access to our parts of our arena, as well as some support spaces like washrooms and our mechanical service spaces, electrical as well. So we're going to jump into under one group. Do you want to speak, Monica, to the addresses and?
Sure. One of the things that we talked about, the 3 addresses and the 3 identities. We wanted to make sure that each address was clear and distinct about where you come in, where you're going. And then it had its own unique arrival experience, its own identity and its own purpose. And that they all shared an architectural language that created a cohesive whole for the project. So while we'll look at each one, Amy, you could kind of walk us through each one. The other thing that we have are previews. So sometimes when we have these big buildings, we don't know what's going on inside. So we have these great activators for the outside, where it's kind of like a window into the heart of the project where you're seeing activity that's happening. So Anna, why don't we go through one by one and we can kind of see what each one's looking like today.
This is our main entrance. So there's this large invitation into the main entrance of the building, blazing in transparency. This is our main address here too. So the articulation of the building welcomes you in, and that's going to continue into the building. And you've got these continuous peaks and views into the walking track above, and there's some windows looking into the clinic below, so you can see that activity happening within the building.
And this is also a strategy where we put a lot of energy into the address and try to find a way to optimize the money on the rest of the facade. So we're putting a concentrated effort at the addresses and trying to find value with the remainder of the project.
So in the next one, so this is our park address, so this is the view from the west side looking back to the building. And so we've developed this address around to create community pride. And also we have the glazing stretching along from the library through the multipurpose room and the lobby, really creating that, between the park and the building space. And so this is our library preview. So that is that window into the life of the building or the library. So this is the language that we're using for the previews, this frame and shape around the larger glazing. And then this last is a view of the approach on Hubbard Avenue with some upgraded sidewalks, which I think may be happening. But this is your main entrance here and your preview into your gymnasium space there as well. So we're going to walk through the phasing. So the building has been prepared to be phased should the town decide to phase the construction of the building. So the phasing here really did three things. So we designed it for some reuse of the materials in phase one. The phasing is meant to minimize the disruption during the phase two construction. And if the phase one does remain longer, than anticipated for the arenas built, we've designed it so it's a good looking building all the way around and it's consistent in its appearance. So let's move up a little bit there. There we go. Sorry. It's like me moving my parents around on my face notes with my kids. So this is a view from the south, looking at the building before the arena would be added to it. And this is the yellow piece, that's the arena, which would be added to it. So that's the massing of the building in phase one, and then the massing of the building in phase two, just a little sketch of that. If we go to the next, then we get into our technical drawings of our floor plans. But what we did is we picked a really clear line to cut the arena off, which is this line here. We had to make some adjustments for structure in order to build a building onto a building later on. So that did increase some of the floor area a little bit there. But that's the line of the building where we're cutting off phase one and phase two. And then on the site plans, phase one, so the strategy would be to build all the north portion of the site, the north parking and the north part of the park, and just do the loop of the walkway right here and keep the remainder of the site just meadow seating until the new construction takes place. And then in phase two, we build out the south parking area and the rest of the park. So there's actually stormwater management. There's two different stormwater management stormwater ponds, which are often dry until we have like a big rain. That's when you start to see the water. So they're not like full ponds all the time. But this we would do one for phase one and the second for phase two. And that's because it's taking the water. So if the root's not there, you don't need the second. So that's the strategy for the site through the phasing. And then from the south facade, that sort of temporary wall point of view. So we've designed the wall to look similar to the architectural language of the rest of the building. However, we really had like a minimal I guess impact at that entrance. That's the arena entrance before. So just marking the entrance, but simply with a similar color and texture to the rest of the buildings. And then when you do your phase two, that's when you move to the covered canopy of the future arena and that arena entrance. That's the, oh, and I should just say that the intention here is to reuse these windows, these punch windows, on the west side of the arena when it gets used, and siding. We were speaking with the siding company that we're basing the standard of acceptance on, and that siding also, if it's in good condition, can be reused as well. Yes.
Thank you, Risha. Just a very quick question, like when I'm looking at the, I like the approach that it's taking in terms of phasing, because phasing could potentially allow you to get a start on a facility that if you wait for funding for the whole thing in its entirety, you may have to wait much longer. But when I look at the building, I kind of see it as three parts, and I know that it's been presented as two parts, because it's like the main part where the medical clinic and then the gym on the end, and then the library, and then second phase is the arena. But what is this drawing nimble enough that if because I do know that through federal and provincial partners, there are different pots of funding for different things. So let's say we were able to secure money that would allow the construction of an arena first before something else. And I'm just kind of curious in terms of, or does it have to be phase one in the way you designed it? That we have to get that first, and then we have to wait later for the arena part. Because my perspective of the whole thing is that if we're able to secure funding for any portions thereof, as long as it makes sense, of course, then that should be something that we want to think about.
Yeah, if you wanted to do phasing differently than we've done it right now, there would be a cost to the schedule like that. No, like because there'd be redesign.
Of course,
Yeah, so.
I guess that's maybe that's not a question for you, maybe that's a question for the CAO in terms of, so are we committing ourselves to this chronology and the phasing, and then hope that we get the funding to fit the chronology of the phasing which has been presented?
I would say, yes, we're committed to the chronology. I would say on the funding side, it's not a hope, it's where it's telling us the funding is, right? The likelihood of funding libraries and medical spaces and recreational spaces is far higher than arenas right now. So we're doing this, having taken a good thought about, what's the likelihood of happening first and putting it in that way, because that's what that's what the landscape's telling.
So you made these decisions in terms of this chronology based on reliable information which has been provided to us, and then therefore you to our professionals to design it in this way because of those funding opportunities.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And is there anything, I don't know, Robert, is there anything you want to add in terms of the phasing, sequencing?
No, thank you. I think it's been pretty well captured. I mean, I think the challenge is always the first phase you build has got to have all the places for the water to come in. Do you know what I mean? And the transformers. So you really do have to. There really does have to be a chronology, because phase one has to come with a kind of attached, electrical room and primary servicing package. And so that's how it's been done here. And really just to align with what's been said, because the feeling was that there was a better shot at funding this series of program types over the arena.
I think as a result, you also do get that clean line that we wouldn't have. So the cost of the renovation is not as, or the phasing is not as much as it would be if it had to start to kind of dissect through things. So there's advantage in the constructability as well.
Okay, so we'll talk a bit about the walking track.
Oh, sure. So I think the last time we talked, we had some great feedback. So we appreciate the feedback that comes from this group. I think we were able to expand the thinking of the wellness walking track. We talked about it a little bit as a destination and less as like just an activity for exercising and walking, but it became more social. We started to think about that this is a journey through the building. So you have these 3 addresses, and not only that, you're circulating through all of these and seeing how they change. It's more inclusive. There's an opportunity for anyone to kind of get through a loop. And for someone that wants to go a little further at this track, at 100, you can do 10 laps and you're at a kilometer. But if you're really just, everybody's kind of included to be able to do one. And we're trying to get people to connect through the different activities. the daylight changes, the views, and especially with one another. So I think whereas a walking track where you may well go around the rink and you see the game, this chance you're gonna see how the gym's being used one way. You look over the lobby, it's something different. You come around, you see new people in the lobby, you get a chance to connect and pass by each other a bit more. So we're thinking about this as a destination circuit that's as much social as a walk through the park as it is a conventional track. So it's kind of getting exciting. And I think the feedback that we got from last time, like how do you break off of the track? How does it not create congestion? How do you create opportunities for people to actually connect? And I think the other feedback piece was it felt too insular, like we were turning it inward and we wanted to really not just look at the other program activities, but actually be able to go into them a bit more. So why don't you walk us through the track?
Yeah.
We can see maybe where we were.
Yeah, I'll just say that these, in our experiences and in Jimmy's past experience, the walking track is the most used, the most popular destination in the building. So that's one of the reasons, of course, that we're working really hard to make it experience better. And we've applied your feedback. So this is what the walking track used to look like. So the width of the loop was the walking track itself with a little bit of leftover space on the corners. And so we've, if you go to the next slide there, this is what it looks like now. So we've worked with our mechanical engineers to optimize this mechanical well here and push the wall in a little bit more here and created this buffer space along the side that faces the lobby and faces our stair approach. We've got some additional, we've moved into the gym bit here, creating this landing viewing area here as well. So it's a great gallery. And we've also then made space for things like cubbies, for wallets, so people can sort of have it like an independent, so just go directly to the walking track, wallets, put your belongings there. And then, so it is 2 lanes, it's been 105 meters long, each of the lanes is 1,200 millimeters wide, there's space now for lounging. We've got the drinking fountain, washrooms off of it, and space for stretching, making it a more wholesome experience. So I'll walk around the images. So once upon your arrival, this is the view from the lobby up towards the walking track. We heard some of the feedback about opening that up a little bit more with the design of the guard too. And so we're working through the details of that, applying that. That's great. And then as you get on the walking track here, you can see down into the lobby. There's some additional space for stopping, for taking a look, for lounging or sitting or resting. And as you keep going, we've got a peek into and views down, looking down below into your arena ice from the walking track. So that's once you're on, that's from the walking track looking over towards the arena side. And then as you circulate around to the gym, there's this breakout space, but it's for seating. You can put a few exercise bikes up there if you want to add some variety, and you get to see the gym and its fullness from that spot. And then you move on to another experience, which is these views, these windows that line the north side of the track, looking at the entry plaza and the daylight, the trees, the people coming and going in the facility. And then from the outside, of course, then you would have a similar but opposite experience looking in, watching people go by. I'll just flag that we did look at some similar size walking tracks in Atlantic Canada, found a series of different walking tracks. North Moncton is 100 meters, and goes on the splash pad there. The Chesapeake Family YMCA at St. John's, that goes around their gymnasium, that's about 100 meters. Central Labrador YMCA, around the same size, that goes around the fitness area, which is similar to the St. John YMCA as well. All successful tracks, and
So that kind of adds to that diversity that we talked about.
yeah,
So it's really easy to say we're creating diversity in the building, but it's another thing that every time you come around and see these views, you're never looking at the same view. You're never getting that same photo again. Hopefully you get the picture moment of the goal when you're going by, but other than that, you're really getting to know this building in a way that each time it feels activated and animated. So I think that this feels like we're designing together, which is really nice. We didn't, we started with just like the function. And now it's kind of taking shape based on things that make this project more unique. So it's coming together.
And then also, as you sort of make your way around, we also have a view from the top down into the library through that access at the entrance of the library. The stacks beyond, all the way to that preview that takes you, let's go to the sun. That's exciting. Okay. And then, of course, yeah, continuing around the view down to the lobby, the park beyond, this is looking bright, it's a very sunny day, it's like Sunday. In these renderings, but that's the park beyond. So we'll end on the budget review. So we've been, responsibly tracking our budget since we started the pre-design phase with you all before we had a design. We did a Class D cost estimate in October of last year, Class C cost estimate, more of their SMAC design report in December, and then in June here, once we align on the phasing approach and do some redesign to address the phasing of Class B costing. So we were at about 721 square feet at Class D. We got down a little bit more at Class C, that the square footage went up slightly between pre-design and then when we had a schematic design, we were working with the area of the project did increase due to the phasing and the efficiency of moving some items and the additional space needed for the phasing and the structural space between the arena and the new building. But we are looking at a lower square footage cost at about 695 per square feet, which we feel is fairly consistent with what we're seeing out there. So right now the full build out was 69.9 construction cost. You know, you guys are also thinking about the full project cost here. These estimates are the construction costs. So the next steps that we have are we're working in the construction document space. We've taken take the design that's been developed in SMAC design development, and we're layering on all of the details now. So less design work, more detail work, getting things right for the construction set, both the drawings and the specifications. So we'll have a series of submissions of our construction documents, 30%, 60%, 90% complete, to be reviewed by staff and project manager, and provide detailed feedback. We're looking at issuing for permit drawings around September for both phases of the project. We submitted to Dallas and his team, and then issued for tender prepared for November. We'll also be submitting to the Office of Fire Marshal then at that time as well. And then that tender set should move by November of this year. So I think that is it. We have, thank you, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, Matt, Rob, have anything that we might have missed?
Oh, yeah, sorry, not Rob.
No, that was great. Thank you.
Any questions or comments, council? Councilor Rooney?
Thank you, Worship. Just a very quick question. When I was perusing through and the designs and when I was maybe even reflecting back to past conversations we had when you were here. One of the questions I had was on so my question is in phase 2, was there a place for a small canteen, or I somehow also recollect that we were talking, and maybe it was just verbal, that in the main lobby of where you come in to where you can see the walking track, that maybe a small canteen or reception area could be set up there, but I don't think I made that up, but I'm just kind of curious. Okay, good. I'm glad someone has validated my thoughts. But so has there been discussion in terms of where that could be placed, and I may have just missed it on the design?
So this is the food services, so that's the full, the food services area right here. That is still being designed in phase 1 to have the capacity for the phase 2, as well as one of those things that like your electrical, like perfect. We're building that out in phase 1. So we're working with a food services consultant, of course, on specifying the equipment specifically. So that the main piece is here. I know we did talk about it, the opportunity for some breakout stalls, like if you have an event or something, that would be like a self-sustained, like a vertical piece that someone would bring in, say you wanted to have something up on the concourse, like a hot dog cart, kiosk, yeah, so. So the primary food sources though is located there. Now, we'll be in this, in construction documents, I'm sure we'll be talking about vending. We have some vending areas for vending there as well, but it's all built into phase one.
As long as I know that it was thought out, that's all that matters. Great, thank you.
Yeah. And then, of course, the lobby itself, we're looking at lots of seating along the windows, the glazing of the arena and then the glazing of the park, so it's much just to get a coffee and sit with friends.
Yes, sorry.
I guess maybe I just built off that, in that canteen area, I'm just thinking in my head, if there were a second rink added, is that sufficient to service that many people? I mean. Just thinking if the gym's got something going on, both rinks are running a tournament and you've got people coming and going, is that space? I mean, I know it was kind of a added on later, it wasn't part of the original footprint. That canteen be sufficient for 2 ice surfaces and the number of people that would kind of bring it.
Robert, Matt, you might want to answer this. My gut is that you might want to consider something like an additional window.
Somewhere,
Have
okay.
another arena, but in that program, not in this. program.
Right, gotcha.
Rob and Matt, what do you all think about? How do you hear that question?
Yeah, I think it would depend on how many seats. If you were twinning, you know, would you have a significant number of new seats in the twin, or would it just be about a 250 seat arena? If it was just 250 seats, you know, you may be fine with the scale. Like we've done twin pads with food services that are around this scale. But as long as your second pad doesn't have 1,000 folks.
Any other comments, council? No? Okay. Oh,
Just as a final comment, I do appreciate that you've taken some of the feedback you provided, because I can see where, as a result of the feedback that we gave, that it is in the designs.
You guys get to say, we made this better.
At least then we made the drawings better. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you. All of our best ideas come from our clients.
Thanks very much. See you in October.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anna and Monica and Matt, Rob.
Here's summer.
You do.
Okay, thanks all. Take care.
All right. Yeah. All right, we'll move down to 3B, council's role in emergency management, and the town clerk, Cindy Gogan, has that.
Just give me a second to bring it up here.
Yep.
I just want to share the screen for those that may be viewing. It's gonna do some damage with the clicker. Okay, thank you. So today, we're gonna walk through council as part of our orientation. For some of you that have been on council, this may be just a reminder. For others, it's an orientation to your role in emergency management. We thought it was timely now. Don't know if anybody was looking at the weather coming in, but they're talking about some nasty weather tomorrow, so this might be timely. Hopefully we won't be calling upon you, but if so, We're hoping by the end of this presentation, you'll understand what your role is. Everything that we're doing here is grounded in the legislative authority that comes from the Emergency Measures Act, legislation from the province of New Brunswick. Okay, council, the primary authority, as I mentioned, is the Emergency Measures Act. This is the primary decision making. It enables council to have some extraordinary powers in the event that the community is calling upon us for leadership and the coordination of emergency services. It's the single most important thing of this presentation. Council's the primary decision-making authority, and you can't hand off that responsibility to anyone. Now, I will say in support of council, you have your Emergency Operations Center, which is run by our emergency coordinator, which is currently our CAO. So there's 6 responsibilities. Take a look here. 4 of them are your core responsibilities, and then 2 are the coordination and recovery. This is your roadmap. The first 4 are your core duties. It's the plan development, developing that plan, adopting and reviewing the municipal emergency plan. You may recall that I think it was in May that we had engaged the services of Transitional Solutions that's going to be helping us to revamp our plan. We've been looking at that, but not only revamp the plan, but we're also going to be training staff and exercising the plan, which is a critical function as well. The other one is declaring the state of local emergency. This triggers council to have extraordinary powers, and we'll get into it a little bit more, and I'll explain to you what those powers are in a state of local emergency. The other, again, is the operations center. Council will ensure that it's activated, resourced, and directed. And then some special powers, as we've mentioned, exercising expanded authority to protect the community in this time of need. With the last 2, they're about coordination and recovery. And this is where we would request assistance, say from New Brunswick EMO. And again, the other one is the communication, keeping the public informed in a clear and concise manner. So the plan development, council's responsibility to adopt and review its municipal plan. As I mentioned, we're doing that right now. We have a current plan on file. But as I said, it's an all hazards plan. I know there were some questions about specific plans, but our plan currently is an all hazards plan. Our committee meets regularly, usually roughly between 6 to 10 times a year. Just recently, we appointed the deputy mayor as the liaison for council. And then that's where we see a lot of coordination happening, is through that, defining what those clear roles are. We do have them defined currently. Everybody understands their roles, but we will be fine tuning some of those. And then the coordination of our volunteers and partner agencies. So declaring a local state of emergency. If an emergency threatens the safety of our residents, the mayor, or in the absence of the mayor, any 2 councillors has the power to declare a local state of emergency. That state of emergency lasts for 7 days, is the maximum duration. It can be extended. When that happens, we do have to sign that declaration, send it to the province, and again, we would have to renew in 7 days.
Cindy, wouldn't the deputy mayor be?
In the legislation, it states that it's just either the mayor or 2 councillors, so you can do it solely. What we've seen happen in the past is basically we have an emergency. let's say it comes in from either the police or fire typically, is where you can see it. They would communicate to our EOC coordinator, which is our CAO. He would make that decision and then call upon you. And then in all likelihood, you would probably convene your council. And then you would declare the local state of emergency, but you could do it over 2 councilors in your absence. Sometimes in emergency, you can't get everybody, right?
No, exactly.
I'll tell you a funny story. We did declare a state of emergency once in my time in 25 years. And it just happened to be that we thought it was a bomb threat. We thought we had to declare, we were so efficient, we thought we had to declare a local state of emergency to evacuate an area. We didn't think about the volunteer evacuation, so we sent it into the province. And if you remember, Jody Carr was the MLA at the time, and he was sitting and he rose and he said, "There's an emergency in my community, I have to go." Well, it just so happened that it was just a gentleman that had left his briefcase beside the propane tank, and we didn't need to exercise those extraordinary powers. We thought we had to make everybody get out of the area. Anyway, so that is one that, you know, for the most part, you know, we hope, knock on wood, that we don't have to use, that we can manage the emergency ourselves. But what this gives us is extra powers. What we do.
Yeah, that last picture was from 214. Arthur Blue Wing.
Yeah. So activating the operations center, it's again, that process is very similar as the state of local emergency, in the sense that our CAO will get notification that there's need for additional resources, and he would reach out to the mayor and we would activate our fan. And that would engage everyone to come to the EOC. Council would not be in the EOC. You would actually be up here in council chambers, and you would be exercising any of your legislative authorities that we may call upon. So that chain of command is very critical. That we do have, you have the overarching executive decisions, and the director or the EMO coordinator manages that day-to-day coordination through the operations center. If any of you haven't been to the operations center, we certainly could give you a tour and show you where it is. It's downstairs. We refer to it as EOC room. And our backup emergency operations center is at the fire station 1, over on Miramichi. It would be tight, but we could do it.
On that one too, Cindy, oftentimes what we see more so is what we call enhanced monitoring. And so that's one where I'm aware and certain staff are aware, and it's a little more than just keeping an eye on things. There's always somebody engaged in keeping a pulse on a potential. So that happens probably the last few years, a couple of times a year. It's a big storm, or it's last year with the wildfires, we had a bit of enhanced monitoring going on just to make sure that if there was a turn of events that we would be able to respond quicker. That one we don't generally involve council in, other than we might you know, let you know that there's something going on, but that happens, yeah, I'm gonna say probably a couple times every year, where we're on call, so to speak, but not necessarily into a full-blown call out for activation.
What's really nice is when we can watch something and get prepared. Sometimes that doesn't happen, and it happened in the middle of the night. I know we had one time, the town was almost out of water, and we were watching that one, and anyways, we weren't, but we were getting ready, and we did some briefings for council to let them know what was happening, what our plans were. And those briefings would happen up here. So it'd either be John or myself that would come up here and brief you on what's happening or get some direction from you. So your special powers during an emergency. The reason that we do that are some things to like controlling travel, restricting the movement in and out of an affected area. You can order evacuations. You can also requisition buildings, maybe to use them as an emergency shelter or other purposes during an emergency. And then the other one is that you can call on citizens to help carry out the emergency as well. When a disaster exceeds our local capabilities, and we have been in this situation before, this here is demonstrated. This was one of the floods, I think this was 2018. Council can request additional support from the New Brunswick Emergency Measures Organization. I can tell you, and for those of you that have been around, we had a situation where we created a raft. This will never happen again, but we moved cows up the river from shipping belts that they were dying, and we were trying to rescue them, and we went directly through a back door to CFB Town, who had the capabilities through their engineers. So there's some photos that were taken of us bringing the cows home, but that will never happen again. The chain of command is that we put in the requests now through New Brunswick EMO directly. And if there's federal resources that are needed, that would be EMO to request those federal resources. We just can't go to our neighbors anymore.
Which generally means that the province has to declare some state of emergency. So oftentimes I'll get, well, why don't you just call the army?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you understand the legislation, I can't do that. I have to declare through the mayor, a local state, which involves the province, and only the province, if they feel then can declare a provincial state, can you ask the federal government for help? And the army is the federal government. So we get lots of people like, we'll just call them up, get helicopters and tanks. It's not how it works, folks, because I could do it and they might come over, but guess who's going to get the bill? And guess who won't pay the bill? The province, if we don't do it in the right fashion. So that's one just to know, like, yeah, it'd be great because we do have a good relationship with the base. But under the current framework of how you're supposed to ask, I can't just go ask the base commander to send some helicopters over to so.
And yeah, and that's a frustrating aspect for many of our citizens that work on base.
Yeah.
Because they know their capacities and they know their resources. But we do have other resources provincially that we've relied on, especially the Department of Natural Resources. We've used them. They have a whole structured emergency response that they deal with a lot of the wildfires. So they've been a resource that we've used. We've called in a number of other partners as well, like the Red Cross and so forth. But we have to deplete all our resources, and we're pretty deep with the province, unless it's a provincial wide situation. It would be hard pressed to see the ability to call it a military. And the other coordination piece that runs through all of this is communicating with the public. It's important that council must ensure that we have the critical infrastructure to reach our residents. And we use the resources in our local media. We have our alert system that we can utilize. And one of the effective things that we found is using social media. One thing that we do know here in Oromocto that a lot of people get their news through social media. So creating a social media page, just an official social media page, just to eliminate the rumors and give the real-time updates and directions while everybody may not be on social media, family members may be, and of course, we have the backup systems with our alert system, local media and national media. A big event can draw a lot of attention. In 2008, we had, we attracted the Prime Minister's office to the area. With that came all that national media as well. We were hosting scrums and radio interviews nationally. It was a big job coordinating that media. And we did rely on other partners. In fact, we used the city of Fredericton, New Brunswick EMO and Department of Natural Resources just to meet all the demands for interviews and such. So in summary, council leads when it matters most. You have the legal authority. You're the primary decision makers under the Emergency Measures Act. The province gives you that authority through that legislation. Making sure that we're prepared, having a current and tested municipal emergency plan. We're currently working on updating that plan through TSI, and we'll be able to continue with our training. Right now, we're on a hiatus for July and August, but we'll be back at it in September. Council's responsibility to act decisively, declare, activate the EOC, and direct the response when residents are at risk. And then the coordination and informing, engaging the Brunswick BMO for support, and keep the public clearly informed. Your worship, that's it in a nutshell. I know you've been through it a few times, so that you sat in our EOC meetings and participated in some of the exercises that we've done. Those exercises are very valuable. I speak of the fan out system. We've got our, we'll be updating that as well and notifying council. So it's important that we have all your current up-to-date information, which I think we do. If there's any questions about your role, John or I are able to help you out, fill you in.
So is there any questions or comments, council?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We now move down to the monthly departmental reports. Start with the Department of Engineering and Public Works. Any comments or questions, council? None? Okay. We'll move on to the Department of Corporate Services and Finance. Any questions on the finance or budgets or? None? Alrighty. We go to the Planning and Compliance Department. Dallas is right here, so you need them. Done? All right. We go to the Department of Human Resources. Heidi isn't here, so got any questions or comments? None? All right. We move to Department of Recreation and Tourism. I think Jackie. Any questions or comments? None? Right. And we'll go with the Oromocto Fire Department. Fire Chief Cody Price isn't here, but you're ready. Questions or comments? And then we'll go to the last one, the Department of the Clerk's Office, and that's Cindy, she's here. Any questions or comments? None? Okay.
Sure.
Oh. Councillor.
Thank you, Worship. Sorry, I was a little bit late on the draw going through there. For corporate services, one of the questions I have is I looked at the category that says funding update year to date about the different applications that are on our radar, the different applications that were made, which is great, and the ones that are in progress. And we have 9 applications that have been approved in the amount of $31 million, which is great. I mean, and that shows that the investment that we made in the position to create the position for bringing the proposals and so on was a good decision. My question is simply, and I'm not asking you to list out the 9 of them now, but I'm just wondering if in the future. If we could see just an itemized list of the 9 different that were approved, so that. If I think it just gives us more knowledge, so that when people are talking about things throughout the town to us as councillors, that we could say, in fact, you know what, we were able to get. $4 million for the infrastructure improvements in whatever it is. And I just think it's helpful for us, because right now I just know that that's really good. But I'd like to know the specifics of what they are. Thank you.
We take note of that. Councilor Carr?
Thank you, Your Worship. I missed this when we went through the planning department. I see at the bottom, the turn lane is, looks like it's been approved for the Tim Hortons being added at Nevers Road. We have a timeline on that by chance, so when that might
I
be.
don't, just that it has to be done through DTI and monitored with them on the final occupancy.
Okay.
To check back in with them to either delay occupancy until completion, or DTI is comfortable with the standards allow them to continue.
Okay, thank you.
There you go. Okay. We now move down to administration. We'll start with 5A, the date of public presentation and public hearings, written and objections of proposed bylaw 510-G. A bylaw to amend the municipal plan, and proposed bylaw 522-K, a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw for their town of Oromocto. And I think Dallas, you had that.
Just thank you, Richard. I have a pair of these. I'll hopefully just sit through. These are really just setting the dates for both the public presentation of the intent to amend the municipal plan, and then the setting of the public hearing date, and then the asking of PAC for questions with regards to the amendment of the bylaw with regards to planning it. What these are for, this first one is for the Oromocto Regional Wellness and Recreation Center that you saw before. As you're aware, if you flip on the second page or in your programs, there should be a little bit of a schedule or map from the area. Essentially, the current site has where the school is zoned institutional, the rest of the land zone park. Because the building is going to be bigger than the school footprint, it's not going to be consistent with the park zoning. So all this does is change the zoning of the area from park to institutional. It will still be used for recreation purposes, but it will be allowed for us to permit the development for the permit that it comes. So that's this one, and I can go right to the next, your worship, if you like.
Sure, yeah.
On the next one, it is for the, recall we did a new alignment of Sear Street. And we have a CHIP program, one of those funding programs that we got funding from the provincial and the federal government to put the infrastructure into Sear Street and connect it to Clary Box. When we did that realignment of Sear Street to avoid that wetland north, we changed the angle of the road, and in doing so, it created more land between where the previous road was going to go and the existing properties. So what this bylaws are doing is setting the dates for the public presentation, the public hearing, and asking PAC their comments to change the zoning and municipal plan designations for 2 portions of properties. So there's parts that would be along the corner of Sear Street that were created when the road was redone, and those would be rezoned from residential to transportation like industrial to be consistent with the land that they're attached to. In the municipal plan designation, we may open up mixed use for parts of those properties that are further close to Sear Street and Black Watch Drive. And in addition, there's a sliver of park zone that was left after Nicole on Osceola was put in place. And that park connected down to Fenimore Street with the park with the school there, and that strip remaining, it's really serving no purpose. And so the Cedar Street extension allows us to open up lands for high density residential development, and rezoning of this from park to high density residential is in the lands that would be impacted by that land sale and permit further development. So we're cleaning up these areas to support the future development of that area for the development created through the Chip Street project. So if there's any questions on the setting of dates for those, I'll take them, but keep in mind that when both those applications come before you, you'll have ability to comment on the meat of those and to change if there's anything that you have an issue with that.
Any questions, council? None? Okay.
You know, but Michael for medical, is anyone shivering here? You are too, okay, about the only one. Only gonna.
I think, I don't know if there's vest or something, but it's right down the back of the back.
Really? I just no respect now, my son.
As you know, as you know.
That's good. All right. We'll move now to five C, the procedural bylaw draft, and with Cindy, if that would be good.
Thank you, your worship. I have a request here for a decision related to a proposed new bylaw for the procedural bylaw for council. This is to align your current practices with the Local Governance Act and that specific regulation that has identified those mandated areas that need to be included. And it also cleaned up some of the language and some of the legacy stuff that was in the old bylaw that really didn't need to be in there. So what I'm proposing is that we would have first reading of this bylaw. The process, as you know, requires 3 readings, and that it would present this bylaw to the public for feedback through council, and looking at doing first reading on Thursday evening. I'd be willing to take any questions on this bylaw. Procedurally, the content remained the same. It was just ensuring that it was aligned with the requirements of the regulation.
Questions or comments? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, your worship. Just a quick clarification on 3.8.9 and 3.8.10. Says that council shall determine every question, motion, or matter submitted by open vote of yea or nay of council members present. And 3.8.10 says when there's a division of council upon any question, motion, or matter, proceeding officer shall call the names of council members, clerk will the minutes, names of council members, and vote yea and nay. In the past, our practice has been if it's been 6-2 vote or 5-3 vote, as long as it passed, there was no recording of the yeas and nays. Does that mean now every time it's not unanimous, there goes a recording of the yeas and nays?
No, although it's written that way.
That's what I'm reading.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. I just was curious. That's a change from current practice.
You know, what we've done in the past, if council is willing, I will cross-reference this to the old one, but it would be unless you stipulate that you wish to have your vote recorded, we would just have it declared as carried. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm okay either way. That's different.
Yeah. Unless council deems that they would like to have each individual vote recorded.
So that is another avenue for which some councils have, is that those all votes are recorded one way or another at every given time. It hasn't been our current practice, but it certainly could.
I don't think it's needful because there's a way to.
Yeah, I will ensure that this is rewritten to reflect the current practice of if you wish to have your vote recorded.
Any other questions on that? Okay, we move to 5D, the 2026 2030 strategic plan draft, and that's what the clerk. Cindy, awesome. Or did John has it?
Sure, I could take this one, your worship, but essentially what this is I guess a finished product from the process that all council was involved in here a few weeks back. And so this is just to have council review and hopefully give that final nod of approval on Thursday. In which case, then we will be able to take that and task staff to build out some plans with appropriate benchmarks and ways to measure based on the strategic plan presented to you in the past. If there's any questions on it or any comments or suggestions for edits, then now is the time and do them.
Any questions or comments, council? None? Okay. We'll go the last one, 5E, the 25 June 2026 draft minutes are before you. If there's any errors or omissions, please let Cynthia know right away, please. And on that note, I'll call for an adjournment. Deputy Mayor, seconded, Councilor Carr, questions, all in favor? Contrary, motion carried.